Well, now we have the pleasure to introduce Patricio Rodríguez. He's a professor at Universidad de Chile. He's a civil industrial engineer, a Master of Engineering and PhD in computer science from Universidad Católica de Chile. And he was also the founder and CEO of Edu Innova, a multidisciplinary and R&D Center of Educational Technology at Catholic University of Chile. And he developed many projects related with that. He has more than 20 years of experience in the educational field, and actually is an assistant professor, as I said, at the Center for Advanced Research in Education at the Universidad de Chile. He was the winner of the first prize in the contest New Debates, Data and for Development, organized by the Inter-American Development Bank. And now he's developing an algorithm to predict students dropout for the Ministry of Education in Chile. So he learned, and he loves to explain a lot about education and how can artificial intelligence help us with all those stuff. Please, Patricio.
Thank you very much, Fernanda. Thank you very much to the organization for being here. I want to talk about how can use machine learning for addressing social problems, and I want to share with you some reflection about that. First of all, we have to take a lot of consideration to make machine learning algorithms useful for decision makers, but it's better have this consideration or address this challenge before deploying an algorithm that, like Abel says in his presentation, because develop machine learning algorithm is sometimes the easy part of the problem. So here's some thoughts. First, I will try to conceptualize the problems in the easy problem and the hard problems. The easy problems are problems that they are constrained because the data sets come from a single government agency, organization, and or for public data, do not involve personal sensitive information, and final users do not need to know how the algorithm works. And because that, the models have relatively easy maintenance. For example, if we want to use machine learning models to discover informal settlements, we can use satellite images to recognize these patterns, and we need to train an algorithm to recognize these informal housings, and we need to basically provide to the algorithms how this informal housing looks like from space. And in the case of Chile, these informal settlements are different in different locations in the country because the climate. In the north look like this, in the center look like this, and in the south like this. So this is a very easy problem from the machine learning point of view, and very straightforward in the implementation and the public policy application. But in the hard problems point of view, we need to combine data sets from different organizations. We need to clean and impute a lot of data. It can involve sensitive data to make this algorithm works, to train them and to use them, in both cases. And the final user needs to open the black box algorithm because she or he will be probably accountable for his decisions. And finally, because we want to intervene in the problem, it requires continuous maintenance. So we have to provide new feedback to the data to organize what's going on. An example. For example, in student dropout have different factors, including gender and age. In this graph, we can see that the main risk of dropping out is being male, and the dropping out is produced at the 9th grade at 15 years old. But there are also territorial factors. And these territorial factors, for example, we are looking at the access to effective school in Santiago de Chile, is not the access to effective school is not evenly distributed in the map. So there is some zones where the student has less access to effective schools, and there are zones of the city where they have higher access to effective schools. And this is a reflection because the general inequity, because the education system not operating in vacuum. So if we see here in the map the inequity at the block level, we can see that it's very consistent with the inequity of access to effective school. So when we stop, can we address all the dimensions involved in the solution? Because if we need to, if the inequity at block level is a factor for the social exclusion, that means the drought, we can change from the education the social inequity in the city. So we have to be very careful what variables to include or not, because we can doesn't affect in public policy their considerations. So where to start? First, to try to address social problems from public sector, we will try to identify opportunities to develop quick winners, or to fail quickly to start again, based in that's easy problems. Use your own data, create virtuous cycles showing results, and enroll people and other institutions to share data and generate new application. Because we can see in this picture, all these cloud points are the service in the Chilean government. And every connection, there is an agreement to share this data. And at the end of every one of these points, there is a lawyer. So if you want to talk or exchange that data, you have to pass for this lawyer. So you need to enroll the people, what data you do need to do your work, and you need to do your homework, because if you haven't resolved the problem of the interoperability, you will face this problem. In second place, you need to keep an eye in success story to identify and systematize return on investment indicators. For example, the labor agency improved efficacy in inspection. That's inspection that found violation to the labor code from 26% to 42%. And that's the way we can measure how effective were the implementation of machine learning in the public sector. And finally, we try to transform hard problems in easy problems as possible. In the case of the student dropouts, we can try to first classify what are or characterize the student that drop out, to try to get insight about the problem before developing the machine learning algorithm. So to conclude, in the long term, to successfully address social problems with artificial intelligence, we need to be strongly grounded in a data-driven government. So to produce, store, curate, share, and reuse the data in public sector. And finally, obviously, you should believe in evidence as an engine for decision-making and public policy development and assessment. And to conclude, as an statistician, an American statistician, Edward Deming said, "In God we trust, but all others must bring data." Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patricio.